Las Vegas. The name conjures images of dazzling lights, clinking slot machines, and extravagant shows, but beneath the glittering facade, a darker reality simmers. While tourists sip cocktails, thousands of residents struggle to survive on the city's fringes. Las Vegas faces a stark and growing problem: homelessness. The city's booming population growth has outpaced the availability of affordable housing. This is the story of Las Vegas's hidden crisis. We'll hear from those on the front lines to understand the challenges they face. It's about shining a light on a problem that often remains hidden in the shadows. Las Vegas, a city of shimmering lights and dark secrets. This is the story of Las Vegas's homeless crisis, a tale of two cities existing side by side. The statistics paint a sobering picture. In 2024, the number of people experiencing homelessness surged to 79,271. Las Vegas now holds the highest percentage of unsheltered homeless individuals in the nation. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this crisis is its impact on children. Nearly 15,000 children experience homelessness in Las Vegas each year. They live with the constant stress and uncertainty of not knowing where they'll sleep each night. Las Vegas shimmers with the promise of luxury and escape. For those living without shelter, the city's glittering facade is a cruel mirage. Imagine sleeping on the streets where temperatures can soar past 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The elements offer no mercy, a harsh reminder of their vulnerability. A day in the life of an unsheltered person in Las Vegas is a study in resilience. Days are often spent searching for food, water, and shade. Every interaction becomes a test of dignity and determination. One of the most insidious aspects of homelessness is the invisibility it casts upon those experiencing it. In a city that thrives on spectacle, those living on the streets often become invisible. This invisibility takes a toll, eroding the self-worth of those experiencing homelessness. The glitz and glamour of Las Vegas often overshadow a darker reality. This isn't just about a lack of resources, it's about a betrayal of trust. Funds earmarked for affordable housing vanish into a labyrinth of backroom deals. The stench of corruption hangs heavy over Las Vegas. While billions are poured into extravagant casinos, the needs of the homeless are often relegated to an afterthought. The message is clear. In Las Vegas, some lives are valued more than others. The homeless crisis in Las Vegas is the result of a system rigged against the vulnerable. Zoning laws are manipulated to favor developers, often at the expense of affordable housing. The criminalization of homelessness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, further marginalizing those already struggling to survive. Las Vegas, a city built on risk and reward, finds itself facing a high-stakes gamble of a different sort: how to address its spiraling homeless crisis. The price tag? A staggering sum of money, enough to make even the highest of rollers blink. But is throwing money at the problem actually solving anything, or is it just a temporary fix, a billion-dollar band-aid on a gaping wound? In 2020, the city made headlines when it allocated a cool $1 billion to combat homelessness. It was a bold move, a public declaration that the city was finally taking the issue seriously. But the question remains: where did all that money actually go? And more importantly, is it making a tangible difference in the lives of those living on the streets? The answer, as with most things in Las Vegas, is complicated. Some of the money went towards increasing shelter beds, a necessary but often insufficient solution. Some went towards funding outreach programs, connecting those living on the streets with essential services. And some went towards building affordable housing units, a long-term solution that often faces bureaucratic hurdles and NIMBYism. But the sheer scale of the crisis, coupled with the complex web of factors that contribute to homelessness, makes finding a sustainable solution a daunting task. $1 billion, while a significant sum, can only go so far when spread thin across a problem as deeply entrenched as homelessness in Las Vegas. The billion-dollar question in Las Vegas isn't just about how much money is being spent on the homeless crisis, but where exactly those funds are ending up. It's a labyrinth of budget allocations, with money flowing into a complex network of government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private contractors, each with their own priorities and overhead costs. Sheltering a single adult in Las Vegas, for example, can cost upwards of $37,000 per year. For families, that number skyrockets to a staggering $75,000 annually. These costs include not just the physical space of a shelter bed, but also the staff, food, and other essential services required to support those experiencing homelessness. But beyond the direct costs of providing shelter and services, there are also the administrative costs associated with managing these programs. Government agencies, often burdened by bureaucracy and inefficiency, must allocate a portion of the funds towards salaries, office space, and other operational expenses. Nonprofit organizations, while typically more agile and community-oriented, also face fundraising challenges and administrative burdens. And then there's the issue of accountability, of ensuring that the money allocated for homelessness is actually being used effectively. A recent audit of the city's homeless services programs revealed a lack of transparency and oversight, with millions of dollars unaccounted for and little evidence to demonstrate the effectiveness of certain programs. The lack of transparency and accountability surrounding the spending of homeless services funds in Las Vegas raises serious concerns. While the city has undoubtedly made efforts to address the crisis, the question remains: are these efforts translating into real, sustainable change, or are they simply perpetuating a cycle of dependency and despair? Some advocates argue that the city needs to invest even more heavily in homeless services, pointing to the overwhelming need and the complex challenges faced by those living on the streets. They call for a more comprehensive approach, one that addresses not just the symptoms of homelessness, but also its root causes, such as poverty, lack of affordable housing, and inadequate mental health care. Others, however, are skeptical of simply throwing more money at the problem. They point to the recent audit as evidence that the current system is rife with inefficiency and waste. They call for greater transparency and accountability, demanding that the city demonstrate a clear return on investment for every dollar spent on homeless services. The debate over how to best address homelessness in Las Vegas is complex and often contentious. There are no easy answers, no quick fixes, but one thing is clear: without greater transparency, accountability, and a willingness to address the systemic issues that contribute to homelessness, the crisis will continue to cast a long shadow over the glittering facade of Las Vegas. Las Vegas, with its glittering casinos and promise of easy riches, might seem like a city paved with gold. But for many, the reality is far different. The cost of living has skyrocketed, leaving many residents teetering on the brink of financial ruin. Housing costs have become a crushing burden. The median home value is a staggering $385,000. Renters fare no better, with the average one-bedroom apartment costing around $1,400 a month. Transportation costs add another layer of burden. Public transportation is often unreliable, forcing many to rely on personal vehicles. The cost of food, healthcare, and other essentials has been steadily rising. The glittering facade of Las Vegas can feel like a cruel taunt to those struggling to stay afloat. The rising cost of living in Las Vegas has created a breeding ground for crime and desperation. As financial pressures mount, pushing more people towards the brink, the temptation to cut corners, to bend the rules, or even to resort to illegal activities can become overwhelming. The statistics paint a grim picture. Las Vegas has a significantly higher crime rate than the national average, with property crimes in particular being a major concern. From car theft to petty theft to burglary, the desperation fueled by financial hardship manifests itself in a variety of ways, eroding the quality of life for all residents. But the true cost of this crime wave goes beyond the financial losses and the sense of insecurity it creates. It represents a breakdown of the social fabric, a fraying of the bonds that hold a community together. When people are struggling to survive, when they feel like the system is rigged against them, they're more likely to make choices they otherwise wouldn't, further perpetuating a cycle of poverty, crime, and despair. And it's not just property crime that's on the rise. Violent crime, fueled by a toxic mix of poverty, addiction, and mental health issues, also plagues certain parts of Las Vegas. The city's glittering facade, with its promise of endless entertainment and escape, can't completely mask the underlying currents of desperation and violence simmering just beneath the surface. Las Vegas finds itself at a crossroads, a city grappling with the consequences of its own success. The very factors that have fueled its growth, tourism, entertainment, and a laissez-faire attitude, have also contributed to a growing divide between the haves and the have-nots, between those who come to Las Vegas to indulge in its excesses and those who struggle to survive in its shadow. The city's reliance on tourism, while a boon to its economy, has also made it particularly vulnerable to economic downturns. When the tourists stop coming, as they inevitably do during times of recession or global crisis, the city's economic engine sputters, leaving thousands of workers unemployed and struggling to make ends meet. The entertainment industry, while a major source of jobs and revenue for Las Vegas, also fosters a culture of instant gratification, of living for the moment, which can be at odds with the values of thrift, long-term planning, and social responsibility. The city's "what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas" ethos, while enticing to tourists, can also create a sense of detachment from the consequences of one's actions, both individually and collectively. And then there's the city's historical embrace of a hands-off approach to government regulation, a philosophy often touted as a key to its economic success. While this approach has undoubtedly fostered innovation and entrepreneurship, it has also created an environment where businesses are often free to prioritize profits over people, with little regard for the social and environmental costs of their actions. Las Vegas, a city built on illusions, now faces a stark reality check. The glittering facade of casinos and resorts can no longer conceal the cracks in its foundation. The homeless crisis spills onto the streets, a reminder of the city's failure to address its most vulnerable residents. The allure of easy money and instant gratification has contributed to social and economic disparities. The city's pursuit of profit has created a system where some thrive while others struggle to survive. The mirage of prosperity is fading, revealing a city grappling with its choices. The homeless crisis is a symptom of a deeper malaise, a city that has sold its soul for a fistful of dollars. The time for denial is over. Las Vegas can no longer afford to ignore the plight of those living on its streets. The homeless crisis is not going away on its own. It requires a fundamental shift in mindset, recognizing that the city's prosperity is linked to the well-being of all its residents. Addressing the homeless crisis in Las Vegas is not just the responsibility of government agencies or nonprofit organizations. It's a shared responsibility, a collective obligation that falls on the shoulders of every resident, every business owner, every visitor who has ever benefited from the city's allure. The first step towards finding a solution is to acknowledge the humanity of those experiencing homelessness. They are not statistics, not a faceless mass to be ignored or shuffled out of sight. They are individuals with their own stories, their own dreams, their own struggles. They are our neighbors, our fellow human beings deserving of our compassion and support. Businesses, particularly those in the tourism and entertainment industries, have a crucial role to play. They can start by ensuring that their employees are paid a living wage, that they have access to affordable healthcare and childcare, that they are not one unexpected expense away from financial ruin. They can support local organizations working to address homelessness through financial contributions, volunteerism, and advocacy. And individuals can make a difference too. It starts with simple acts of kindness, a smile, a kind word, a few dollars to someone asking for help. It means challenging our own biases and preconceived notions about homelessness, recognizing that anyone, regardless of their circumstances, can fall on hard times. The homeless crisis in Las Vegas is complex but not insurmountable. It demands a multi-pronged approach, addressing both symptoms and root causes. Social justice and affordable housing are crucial. The city must invest in new and existing affordable housing, reform zoning laws to incentivize mixed-income housing, expand mental health and addiction services. The current system is fragmented and underfunded. Education and job training can provide a pathway out of poverty. Las Vegas must rediscover its sense of community, embrace compassion, empathy, and social responsibility. The future of Las Vegas is at stake. Will it continue down the path of inequality, or will it rise to the challenge and reclaim its soul? The choice is ours.